showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
How are you holding up over there, Chrissy?
I'm holding up. I'm sitting.
Both of us are extremely exhausted.
Yes.
It's been a heck of a weekend.
We have been on our feet all weekend until just now.
We were recently, so both of us, we were living in a small apartment downtown, right in the heart of downtown Salt Lake. We just recently moved into a much larger house on the outskirts of Salt Lake.
Yeah.
So we're still in the valley. We're still close to downtown, a nice, probably a 10-minute drive to downtown. So I'm not really complaining.
Yeah, and it's just a really comfortable house.
It's much bigger. It'll be enough room for your kids, and they'll be able to run around downstairs. A huge backyard, which I'm excited because I would like to actually host some I Am Salt Lake barbecues there.
That would be super fun.
I think it would be fun to bring some of the listeners over, and we can do some barbecuing. We can have some drinks.
Yes.
We can get to know each other better.
It would be perfect. See, we got a house for you guys. Aren't you happy?
About an hour prior, though, of sitting down right now, both of us, we introduced Charles, our Sphinx cat, to the house, and he is in heaven.
Oh, yeah.
He is just running around.
It was like we kind of wanted to show him different areas, and he was trying to run away from us because he wanted to keep exploring. He didn't want us to, like, hold him down and show him where things were.
Well, he's been confined to such a small apartment for the past year since he moved in with me, since I found him from the shelter, and so now he's in heaven.
Oh yeah.
So I'm excited to see where this goes.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited too.
And we'll have to share the stories with all of you as well. But let's get into this episode. Welcome to episode 252. My name's Chris Hollifield.
And I'm Chrissy Shelley.
On this episode, Chelsea Nelson. She's a food and craft cocktail writer. She does the blog Heartbeat Nosh. Let me actually share a really funny story about her really quick before we get into it. It was almost a year ago, and we kind of talk about that a little bit. I play that part of the conversation. I left that all in when we get into that here in a second. But she came. This was before you were co-hosting the show with me, Chrissy. Yeah. She came over and sat down and recorded, and I looked down, and the recorder wasn't recording. It was stopped. I was out of memory on my SD card.
Yeah.
The little memory card.
That's heartbreaking.
And I didn't have any way to fix it. I was just like, I'm sorry.
Like, you have to go now.
And it was such a good conversation. It took us a while for us to coordinate our times, bring her back on the show. But
it's almost a year.
I'm actually really glad that you were here this time.
Me too, because it was super fun. She's one of a kind.
You bonded with her.
I totally did. I was like, well, this is going to be my new best friend.
Was there any like points that you liked with the conversation with her or no spoilers, I guess?
Well, when we talked about, basically being, for lack of a better term, an artist and the struggles that go around that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into all that.
Yeah. And she's just really funny. So I like that.
Let's talk about our sponsors. We have a couple great sponsors for this episode of the podcast. Oleo Skin and Beard, great local company.
I actually packed it all up and took it to the new house with me.
We got all the beard oils and skin oils all ready to go up into our cabinets there in the bathroom. I mean, these guys are making some great products, perfect for the holidays.
Oh yeah,
they're at a bunch of the local markets, holiday markets. So pick some up. I mean, there's something there, whether it's the bath salts, the beard oils, the rose water. I don't know.
Oh, I love the rose water. It's a toner for your face.
Or you can head on over to oleoskin.com and purchase some, and they'll ship it right directly to your door.
If you forgot to get your mom a Christmas present, go to oleoskin.com now and get it.
Another great holiday gift, Distillery 36.
Yes.
I love them. Great Brigham rum, great local rum. I mean, these right here, local rum, distilled, taste awesome. You can get it at all the local state liquor stores.
Yeah.
Mix it up with some ginger beer.
It would make some great holiday drinks.
Or
I wonder if it would make a good eggnog.
I'm sure it would.
Let's try it.
I'm sure it would. Grab a bottle. I mean, say you're going over to some friends for the holidays. Grab a bottle of Brigham rum, take it over, and say, hey, thanks for inviting me to your holiday party. And they'll love you and invite you over
Exactly. You'll make friends because of it.
to all of that. And their website, distillery36.com. All right, enough chatter on our end. We're both exhausted.
We are.
Let's jump into that conversation that we had with Chelsea Nelson from Heartbeat Nosh. Thanks for listening.
New Doc Martens and I'm good to go.
Oh, man, I loved Doc
I was
Martens.
so the baby doll dresses, Doc Martens.
Did you ever
Kid.
wear the hat with the sunflower? The blossom hats?
So, yes, I did.
I love those. I never
Drew
did.
Barrymore was like my fashion icon.
Oh,
I remember
still nice.
I saw Mad Love in the theater like 5 or 6 times by myself.
What?
Just because
He's
I
a
loved it.
romantic.
Oh,
He is a romantic. I know.
I loved it, and I just
it's
I
so
wanted to see
weird.
that was like love to me.
I have
Yes.
not seen that movie.
Like, let's jump in the Jeep that doesn't have a hood.
Wait, what movie is that? Mad Love.
Mad
Mad
Love.
Love was the one. It was like in Seattle. It was Drew Barrymore in
And she goes crazy.
what's his face? He was
I loved him, and then he went away for
Paul
a little bit.
Rudd?
no, not
I love
Paul
him
Rudd.
too.
And she was the wild child, and he was like a good kid, but he fell in love with her, and then didn't she go to like a mental institution or something? Yes.
Yep, and they didn't really end up together. It
Yeah.
was sad.
Have you never
It
seen
does sound
this,
like your
Chrissy?
kind of woman.
You've seen Mad Love. Have you seen Mad Love?
No.
Put it on your list for this evening.
I do like
Yeah.
the crazy women.
You do.
I don't know what it
We got something to offer.
you got something.
We bring entertainment to the table at the very least.
Oh man. Hey, remember you were making fun of all my VHS? You were making fun of my VHS.
Dude, I'm like,
thing.
what the VCR?
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't own a DVD player.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's just
And
some
that's
of
only some of them.
Yeah, that's we just ran out
This
of
is why you still have to have a VCR.
Yeah. Well, we ran out of space in our apartment. And so I was like, well, let's just put some in our office.
Okay, so today we were talking about movies, and High Fidelity is one of my favorite movies ever of all time, of like my top 5 movies ever of all time.
That's his favorite movie, too.
It's
this is podcast.
So we were talking about
gold
like
here.
John Cusack.
Okay, I want to watch you guys talk about movies because
John Cusack is, and so we were talking about the horror movie, The 1408, which I'm not a super,
Is that good? Someone told me to watch it.
It's so good. It's so smart, and I love him. But High Fidelity is my favorite.
Have you read the book?
No.
The book is even
haven't.
better. Read the book.
Okay, I will.
Nick Hornby is an amazing author. I don't know if
that
you're
movie
I don't know
so
if you're much of a reader at all.
Yeah. Well, until I had a kid.
Until you had a kid. Yeah. Well, I don't read as much as I used to.
They'll take
I got
that
a
away from you
girlfriend,
sometimes.
and
Like
that-
free time? What? I don't know.
Just like girlfriends. They take all of your
No.
free time.
No, we're good. The recorder's going. We have batteries this time. We
Cool.
have memory card.
Cool.
Do you know how many times he's always telling me what a great conversation you guys had
No.
and how bummed out he is that the batteries died?
It was an interesting
I
evening.
felt so bad.
You did. You were so
The first
genuine.
And I was,
He-
and I was
he's-
just so bummed out, but I didn't know what to do because
Yeah.
I
There was
had no
nothing to
way-
do. It was just
even this time I have a laptop with me that I
just
could
had
have
to
taken
happen.
memory off. How many months ago was that? That
Well,
was
so
that
here's
was
what
like
I was
6
thinking
months
because
ago,
it was
wasn't
it was a what, no, like 8 maybe.
maybe even a year.
Maybe almost
no?
a year ago, but like so much has happened
I don't even
with
think-
me.
It was when
You
we
and
were
I-
dating.
You were-
It was when we started
you would
dating.
just be like, I'm barely dating Chrissy. Shh, don't tell. That's what it was. And I was like, oh, amazing. That's amazing.
I remember that time.
It was that time. Yes. But like so much has happened since then.
Well, let's
So
get
was
into it.
Probably good, I think. I don't know.
Well, that's good.
Now
I
we
mean,
have an updated version of you.
Lots has
for the
happened in
show.
the last year.
should we start? I mean, should we start? You know how I like to start a little bit. I mean, where were you born? Where are you from? You're from Utah, right?
Yeah.
You were born and raised where? Salt Lake?
Yeah. So Sandy, Utah. I went to Jordan High School. I'm a beet digger. I'm like a 3rd generation beet digger. My great grandmother, my grandfather, my dad.
Like actual beets.
Yeah.
Like
I
in
mean,
the
like,
ground.
yeah, that's where it came from.
Beet digger.
Beet diggers.
beet
We're
digger.
all very proud beet diggers.
Is there-
Very
is-
industrious
Yeah.
people.
Is there
Your
still
mascot.
beet digging in
No.
your family?
No.
No. Beet digger is the
Is the actual mascot,
mascot
of Jordan
of
High School.
Okay, well, I don't know these things.
Yeah, so I
didn't
mean,
go to
yeah,
Jordan
so
High School.
Well,
Right.
that's true.
So we're the beet diggers.
I've heard of the beet diggers.
Yeah.
I don't
It's a
remember
family
specifically if
tradition.
it was positive or negative. I just remember hearing
when
about
I
them.
went to Jordan High School, this is going to totally date me, but so we moved to the new school. They kind of like tore down the thing and put in like the Larry H. Miller Jordan Commons thing.
Okay.
But we had to like make the decision as a student body if we were going to stay beat diggers or pick something new. And it was like people were like, no, we are the beat diggers. That's our thing. It was like
You guys were proud.
we were super proud. And
That's
especially
awesome.
like, I mean, my family is Sandy, Utah. That's who they are.
And they're all still there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Have you ever ventured outside of Utah?
No,
at
what's
all?
wrong with me?
Moved away at all? Or?
Nope.
How about traveled?
Yeah, I've traveled a bit.
Well, you're pretty well traveled. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even when we were resetting this up, you were like, "Oh, I had to like DC or something."
Yeah,
right?
so I travel a bit for work. I was just in Portugal with my husband on vacation for a little while. I've done Europe a couple times. I've traveled a little bit, but like not anything.
much
I've
more
never
well
lived.
traveled than I am.
Oh, yeah.
Go
me
to
too.
Portugal. It's the best place ever.
Is that your favorite place that you've ever
Well,
been?
we kind of just like we're like we want to go somewhere and stay there for like a good amount of time. So we went to Lisbon, and it was insane. It was amazing. They have so much gin there, gin and tonics forever.
Do you know the blogger Greeble, Amy Greeblehouse?
No,
She used to write a blog, Greeble Monkey. Now she does Greeble House. I think she's
No.
there right now, actually.
in Portugal,
In
Well, I'm jealous.
Lisbon, you said, right?
Lisbon.
Yeah, because
amazing.
she made a Facebook post. She had to go to the emergency room or something.
Well, she's in good hands in
So
Lisbon.
yeah, she's from.
They'll give her
she's from
gin and
out in-
tonic while she's waiting.
Gin and tonic,
Just numb it.
Great food,
Yeah. No.
pharmacies on every
Well,
corner.
you're a blogger, so I thought
Yeah.
all the bloggers
No.
hang out online.
There's
maybe.
so many bloggers.
There's
It's
a club.
ridiculous. Yeah. there's
How many
a lot of us.
blogs do you think are out there? I mean, well, that's a
million and a
dumb
million?
It's like, gosh. the
How many
whole-
Utah food blogs do you think are out there?
I'll say this, like to put it in perspective, I don't even really like to call myself a blogger. Like I say I'm like a food and spirits writer, and even now I kind of take the food out. Like I'm a craft cocktail and spirits writer.
Why don't you like to be called a blogger?
Because I feel like my blogging has really led to I'm a freelance writer. Like at the end of the day, you know, I write for a lot of local publications, and I'm a writer. And so I think blogger kind of pegs you. And actually with social media now, I think the blogging and the writing, everybody's like, I want your recipe on Instagram. I don't want to go to your blog. I don't want to go to a website. I want it right here and right now. So it's really just about being a writer, being a content producer.
Is it tough to get people like the traffic to your website with
Yeah.
all the like
Yeah.
you said they want it on Instagram and they want it on Facebook.
They want it in their feeds that they're going to. It's kind of almost like how people are moving away from e-commerce and moving to like Etsy and Amazon. There's just the place you go and everyone puts their stuff there.
Yeah. And you have the thing that's hard to sort of navigate is you have the people who really do read your blog. Like you have your email subscribers and they get a notification when you post and they go there that maybe aren't social media people. And so they're not on your Instagram. And so it's really curating content for those different sort of places. So it's like, this is going to be an Instagram post. This is going to be a blog post. This is going to be on Facebook. And you have to really navigate those different like territories in a different way. It's really complicated right
So
now.
it's almost
not
like
easy.
it's almost like doing more than just writing for your
Yes.
website. You have to write for each of these other.
Yeah.
And you have to cater to each
Maybe
crowd.
I could probably
specifically.
learn something from
You
that, though,
can't,
with I Am
and you
Salt
can't
Lake.
like do the thing where you're like, I'm going to post on Facebook and I'm going to have an auto post to all my social media. Like, no.
Oh,
People
so
are-
that's bad.
that's bad.
What do you mean?
Like you can't say I'm going to post this on Facebook and it's going to auto-populate my Twitter. Because they're different people.
I hate it when people post their Facebook posts on Twitter.
Don't you? I do too.
Because you also you're like, well, they're probably not even on Twitter.
Yeah,
So they're not
it's-
going to read what I have
If I go to a
say.
Twitter feed and it's all people's like Instagram, and I do some auto posts, but I really try to like make sure I take time for each of those platforms individually. It's just it's a lot of work, and at the same time, like I'm a writer, so my natural instinct is to go to my blog and write, you know, and. So
then do you take the same piece of content and then cater it specifically to each media? So you'll write something for your blog, take that same like the same cocktail and then do a version of whatever you did for Facebook.
Sometimes like especially when you're working with like a brand or you're trying to do a cocktail for a certain thing. It's like, okay, this is going to just be Instagram. I'm going to do a story. I'm going to do a video. That's going to be Instagram. It's not going to even like show up on my blog.
Okay.
So that's like I think every blogger, like bloggers are in a totally different world than they were, because it's almost like it's a content for social media thing. And the blog is like I don't know. It's just like this weird hub where things live and you have to put it there, but it's not where people really consume what you're doing. So
Interesting.
you have to be a photographer. You have to be a writer. You have to be all these things. And it's intense, man.
Do you take all your own photographs?
I do.
Damn.
You
are good. I was drooling over them
with your
before you came.
smartphone, or do you use a camera?
No, I've had to up my game, man. Yeah.
To like a legit camera.
Yeah, I have a Nikon D80. I have an old Nikon that I kind of just inherited from my husband because he had one. And I was like, oh, you have an expensive camera that I just need to figure out. I'm not a photographer. I'm a writer. And so as a writer, I've had to default into being a photographer. And I love taking pictures of cocktails because they're beautiful. But it's been definitely a learning thing. And you have to do it all yourself. I can't get a photographer to come take my pictures.
What even got you interested, though, in writing? Like, always your whole life?
Always my whole life. Like, I think that's who I am. I like as a writer. Like, I like cocktails. I like food. I like all sorts of things. I like feminism. I like politics. I could write about being a mother. I could write about a lot of things. But, I think I found my niche in our community with food for a long time. So that's where I kind of started. And then after I had my kid, my baby, who's Clementine, who's 2.5, I moved to cocktails because I saw craft cocktails kind of like gaining a thing. It was happening. Sure. And it was faster and quicker and more accessible than food. Bartenders are way more accessible than chefs. I love chefs, but bartenders are like there.
Yeah, you can talk to them.
You can talk to them, and they're super accessible. And they're really passionate in Salt Lake about what they're doing. And so I just kind of was like, I'm going to start doing cocktails. And that just kind of blew up.
And how long ago was this?
So that was almost 3 years. So I've been really focused on cocktails, craft cocktails, for almost about 3 years. And I've been doing food writing for about 9 years. Wow. In our community. Yeah.
And was this your first ever blog attempt,
No.
Heartbeat Nosh?
No. It's like whatever like weird writing project I could have. So I was a poet in college.
I noticed that. There's some of your poetries on the website as well.
So like kind of what happened was I have like poetry in one place, and I have like because people were like, when blogging first happened, they're like, here's my daily life. Here's my live journal. Here's my MySpace thought.
Live journal. I remember live journal. Yeah. I don't think Chrissy ever did live journal.
I never did.
Yeah,
I didn't ever have one, but I read people's. Yeah. It was like the first sort of window into people's lives. People started like putting their writing out there, and that was really exciting for me because it was all about publishing for so long in like hard copies of things. And so to have something like the internet that was accessible. I'm old. You guys, I'm old.
I think you're probably about our age.
I'm 36.
I'll be 39 in December, so I'm older.
I'm 34.
Win.
Yeah, I didn't have a cell phone until college. Like, I remember the first time like a college professor was like, we're sending an email and an email address. I'm like, I don't understand.
I remember the first time I heard blog.
This?
My mom was like, these people are talking about blogs.
Like, I don't get it.
And I was like, Mom, that's a stupid word. Nobody is going to use anything called a blog. I thought she was just, I thought my mom was smoking crack.
I'm like, I'm not a blogger. I'm a writer. Stop it. Yeah. So
funny.
Anyway, I think so. I was just always a writer, as a poet. I just wanted to be like, I was like the person. So I graduated from UVU with my bachelor's, and I would just sit in the halls and just like write about people. I was like so into just writing, and I got really into like the literary magazine. I was like editor-in-chief of the Lit Mag for a while. So like any project, and then like adulthood happens, and you're like, I have to have a job. I have to do all these things.
But so you're like, I just want to be a writer and make money from writing.
Like, no one's going to pay me to like write poetry about like people in the halls at UVU. No one cares.
Didn't you went to UVU for a minute,
did when it was UVSC.
Yeah. It was UVSC.
Yeah.
Too.
I honestly went there for a semester because I saw the graphic design program, and I was like, this is like high school desktop publishing. So I bailed.
I have to tell you though, UVSC, UVU, the English department, it changed my life. Like living in Utah Valley, it completely changed who I was.
So you lived down there. You didn't commute from Salt Lake.
So I lived down there for a little bit, and then I commuted because, like, I can't hack this Utah Valley thing, people. Oh, sorry. Got to get out.
No.
If you've been following the podcast for a minute,
Yes,
I say it over and over. I moved there when I was about 16. Mm-hmm. That was why I had to get out of Utah, because that's how I thought Utah was.
Yeah, you do. You think that's all of Utah if that's the only place you go in Utah.
Did you ever go to
that's where I went
was
to,
it
too.
ABG's?
No.
On Center Street? Well, you didn't drink it all, right?
So when I first went down there, I was like the quintessential, I grew up in Santa, Utah, Mormon family, Jordan High School. I didn't know it. I didn't know anything different.
You're like, I don't know how to drink.
It's not like there's a whole bunch of culture and diversity out here.
But I was really... I think like I was a smart kid. I was really into books, and I was excited to like kind of venture out on my own. I thought like, I'll go to Orem. It's so far away from my mom and dad. Like, this is where I'll go. And actually it was the best place for me because I think a lot of the students and professors at UVU really cultivate those things in their students. Like, and because I was a little different and was thinking a little different, I kind of stood out. And so I became kind of this like big fish in a little pond. And my poetry got really recognized, and what I was doing got really recognized. And then I had professors who were like, you don't really buy into this thing. You know, you're a little different. And I think I had people that like saw that in me, and I was like, I've known that about myself for a long time. So it just like fueled my fire to want to be a writer. And so anything I could do to like have a project. And then I always worked in restaurants. Like I always worked in restaurants from the time I was 16 all through college. So I really got into like food and wine and beer and all how they all work together. Uh-huh. And I was becoming educated in those things. And so when it came to like, I need a project, I was like, I'm going to write about food.
And then drinking automatically came in. You're like, what are these fancy looking cocktails you're drinking over here?
Yeah, that came a little bit later because I really got into chefs. I really got into food and the art behind that. And food kind of started becoming a big thing in Salt Lake. And I always liked drinking. I mean, once I became a drinker, you know, I've never been like a heavy drinker, but I always appreciated, you know.
And I think that's the way it needs to be. You know, keep it classy.
Yes.
Don't abuse it.
Totally.
And,
totally.
You should be good.
You should be
good. This is totally random, but I was going through your website and you did such a great job with Table X.
Oh my God.
I loved
Table
it.
X.
And I was going through the food and drooling, and then I was like, hey, I think those are Clark Marshall's dishes too.
Oh,
yeah, CM Ceramics.
I'm just putting all these pieces together.
Did you listen? I don't know if you did or not when he was on the podcast.
I don't think I heard that episode, but like, it's just like Salt Lake coming together.
Yeah. It's so cool to see a little piece of everybody.
Yeah, and you see it in different, it's like the dishes that are like also at palette, and like the design, and these chefs who are just like so passionate. And not only are they passionate about food, but it's like the cocktails too were like really amazing. And I hated that Table X, it's one of like our brand new restaurant.
Where is that at?
So it's really cool. It's like in the Brick House area.
Yes, up there by about 13th East, 11th East.
Yep. And it's like this beautiful space. It's like engineered beautifully. They have a whole garden in the back. They're like growing all their own produce. It's amazing. And it's like, for me, I'm like, the food's great, but if you don't have the cocktails to back it up, like, I'm into wine and beer, but like, if you can't create like a really beautiful cocktail, then I don't know, I'm a little weary.
Just not that interested.
You got to have it. And especially with what I'm focused on and what people are coming to me for information on, they want to know about craft cocktails. So if you're not doing it, then I'm kind of at this point now where I'm like, then I'm not super interested.
It's a lot of pressure on you, though, to be the cocktail expert.
Yes, it is, but it's cool. Like I'm stoked to be it, and I think that I've worked really hard to be that person. Mm-hmm. And I'm not afraid to say that I think I am that person in our community, as far as like writers and people who are sort of aware of what's happening in the community, bartenders, restaurants, bars, like what's happening. What is a craft cocktail? What does that mean? And I'm like a really big home bartender enthusiast. So I'm trying to like really be
Did you
involved.
ever bartend at all?
I've never bartended.
Have you ever wanted to?
Yes, every day.
I know. I tell Chrissy,
He talks about it all the time.
I think it would be
I don't think I could do
to
it.
get into it. Why don't you think you could?
Well, because I worked in restaurants for a long time as a server.
Yeah.
And so I think I can keep up with like that sort of pace and, what is expected of a bartender as far as like, everybody says like their hairstylist is their therapist. And I'm like, well, every bartender in Salt Lake is my therapist.
Sure.
Like that's what they do,
Sure.
Yeah,
So,
and they're like therapisting multiple people. That
yes.
sounds really bad.
Like they have to do that. They have, and I
Yeah.
think that's expected of a really good bartender. That was something we kind of talked about on the Utah Foodie that I just did, was like what makes a good bartender. And I think that's a big deal. Like I want that person to be accessible to me. I want to be able to go in and nerd out with them and ask them what they're making me, and I want them to talk about it with me. You don't expect that of a chef. I'm not going back in the kitchen and being like,
What are you doing
tell
now?"
me where all this produce comes from and what's happening. But like, that's why I love writing about bartenders, because they're just as passionate as chefs, but they're so much more accessible.
and you kind of get to be a part of the craft.
Yeah.
And
And then like now they're all my friends and I'm super into it and I love promoting what they're doing and they're really creative. And so, yeah, it's such a community, like anything in Salt Lake, which I'm sure you know.
Anything in Salt Lake, it becomes like this small community where you're like, holy cow, is this all we have? Is this,
I know.
You're like, there's only 10 of us now.
But the good
it makes
thing
us
about
so
that,
small.
It is, but the good thing about that is, and even with food and being a food writer for so long, is that I think it's been small enough that people are really supportive of each other.
Sure.
And even
yeah.
like with the influx of distilleries, like they're all like, and bitters companies, like Andrea from Bitters Lab is one of my very best friends. And I've really respected the fact that while these new bitters companies are coming, it's like, they're just going to like influence my brand and how important it is to have things like bitters, like distilleries. Like
I've noticed
craft
that all the
cocktail
distilleries
bars.
are super supportive of each other. They even get together and give each other advice.
Yep.
And
because they know it builds their business.
Yeah.
And so that's a really cool thing to be a part of. Even so, I'm a member of the USBG Utah.
What is that?
So it's Utah Bartenders Guild, and it's a national thing, but there's a chapter in every state. So the chapter in Utah, it's like every bartender or people who are really involved in like spirits and craft cocktails in Utah, they like come together for like educational purposes. They change locations depending on what's going on, and it's so collaborative and supportive, and I love that.
I think Michael, I think was his name, when one of the bartenders at Bar X, when he was on I Am Salt Lake, I think he talked a little bit.
I think he is now one of the like officers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he's high ranking.
He's high ranking.
Can anybody get involved with that?
Yes.
I might have asked him that. But now
So
that you're here.
it's been like historically for bartenders and people who are in the industry, and it's been kind of something I was like I'm not a bartender, but I'm writing about what you guys are doing all the time, and like I'm really interested. It's same with like SLARA, like the Restaurant Association. Like, what do we do to like tap into that content? Even though I'm not a business owner, like as far as like owning a restaurant, or I'm not like a bartender. So
you're a promoter of those things,
and I'm interested in those things.
Yeah.
So USBG, you can sign up as an enthusiast, which is amazing. Because if you're just a cocktail enthusiast and you want to be able to come to all of the really great educational events, then you just pay like $150 a year and then you can come.
So it would be like if Chrissy and myself wanted to do it, it would be beneficial.
Totally.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Do it.
I'm
You need to
so
sit
on
around
board.
and drink
I am
beer,
a big cocktail enthusiast.
Then you need to do it because it's super great for education. Like I've been to so many things already where, you're talking about vermouths or you're talking about a certain spirit. Like they had Big Captive spirits from Big Gin, which is captive spirits from Seattle, come in and talk about like their operation. And you just get like a good perspective. And as a spirits writer, that's what I want.
Is there a website or Facebook page, I guess?
I don't know. It's like USBG Utah.
I'll check it out.
And they have like a Facebook page. So you can check it out.
I'll put the links up with this.
Yeah.
They're coming out with like a cocktail book in a couple of months, which I'm shooting photos for, which is all the bartenders, the really great bartenders in our community are submitting recipes. And then anybody can buy it. And then we're taking pictures of the cocktails. So it's a really great community all about cocktails and spirits.
we would get to meet bartenders, bring them on the podcast.
Which is my favorite thing.
That's true.
If you do that, please, I just want to come every time.
You can just come and sit and enjoy.
You
want to hear.
You can help co-host those.
I would love it.
Podcasts even.
Yeah.
Our bartenders in this city are some of my favorite people in the world. Like, honestly. And I am friends with some of them outside of the bartending, but I love to just like walk into a bar and like I see that person behind the bar and I'm like,
It just makes your day.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
like, I
so
know their
stoked.
name, they
Yeah.
know
Can
my
we just
name.
like nerd out and be stupid together about what's in this cocktail for 20 minutes? Because it's going to make my day.
That's
Because I'm
so cool.
totally nerdy.
Have you ever thought about doing a podcast? Now that I say come and co-host if we talk to a bartender, have you ever thought about doing a podcast?
I mean, I think it would be fun, but
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Sounds like a
with that.
no.
I am at max capacity. And like with what I have going on.
Just
like,
because
yeah.
of family and a kid.
I mean, I have a full-time job that is awesome. I work for United Way of Salt Lake and it's amazing and I love doing it, but it's like a serious full-time job. I have a 2.5-year-old amazing kid and I love doing this
I like
stuff
how
in
you
the
threw
community.
amazing
She's
in there.
amazing.
Yeah.
She's the best. She's the best. I have an amazing husband. I have an amazing family and we're really good about he gets to go do his thing. I get to go do my thing. But I don't know, like sometimes I'm just like, what's coming back to me? You know, at the end of the day, it's kind of like I'm doing all of this stuff. And really what it is like, it's the community I'm building. It's the community of bartenders and podcasters and great people.
Absolutely. It's
You know,
true. And
it
that's
is.
really probably the most valuable thing you can get back.
Yeah.
Out
It's
of, like,
very
all that
personal.
work.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, we talk about this all the time. I go, you know, doing a podcast is so much work. And a lot of times people don't see all of the other work that you do.
I think that's the crux of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, even with like things like Cocktail Club that I do and even I think I'm taking a chance here saying this, but a lot of freelancers and writers in our community, we've gotten really used to just showing up to an event for a free meal and then being like, sure, I'll write about that. With people not understanding the amount of work that goes into photographing, processing photos, writing a blog post, it's so much work.
Yeah.
And so I think for a lot of us, especially with the food and cocktail community growing so much, where we're like, you want to say yes to everything because you want to be involved. You want to showcase your work. You want to be the person that's like there all the time. And now I'm kind of at this place where it's like, people know who I am and they know what I'm doing and they appreciate that. But you have to start saying no because I can't spend 20 hours a week, you know, processing photos and doing blogs just for a free meal. Like that just doesn't.
Like I can buy my own meal.
Yeah, it doesn't work anymore. And so I think a lot of writers and bloggers and photographers in our community right now are having that sort of problem where they're like, what do I do? Like, I don't want to say no. I want people to pay me for the time. I want people to pay me for the photographs. I want people to pay me for the writing. And we've kind of come to this place where everyone's just like, come to this media event. And then we expect you to write a blog post and post on social media.
Yeah.
And that's great.
And
That's
it's a
great,
ton of work.
but it's so much work.
Yeah.
So it's a balance that I think every food writer that I know is trying to figure out right now. So that's a thing.
It's kind of refreshing for you to hear that because everyone makes it look so easy. And when I was looking at your website, I'm like, it's so beautiful.
Thank you.
I mean, I've tried a couple of times. I'm like, we need to make a blog. And I don't write very well and I don't really take pictures. I don't really do anything, but I've tried and I'm like, this is so hard. How do people do this?
It's hard.
And all of the content that you've created and all the pictures for each post are beautiful.
It's hours and hours and hours of work. It's
my gosh.
far more hours than like eating a meal for free. And
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I like to be included in that first peak of things. I think it's really important to be looked at as like an expert in your field of what you're writing. But when you're working full time and you have a family and all of those things, like I think it's time for our community to get real about how much time and effort our writers, freelance writers, photographers are putting into it.
Oh, yeah.
And what are they worth? We're not just worth a free meal.
Well, I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people think that it might be your full-time job.
I think a lot of people think that, and they're like,
I know a lot of people, even with this podcast, they think, "Oh, I thought you did I Am Salt Lake full time."
No,
and it's like, no.
This is my passion project.
And I think this is good to have a little bit of honesty and say, you know, we love doing it, we like to do it, but it gets hard and
we
it gets
need a little bit of
exhausting.
support.
You
Just a
know,
little bit of help.
whatever.
That felt really good to say, actually. You know, because I've had so many conversations really lately, like even in the past 6 weeks, with writers and photographers that I think are super creative and doing amazing work that are just not getting back what they're putting in.
And then they burn out and then they disappear and you're like, what happened to them?
And you're like, you just have to say no.
So good.
Yeah. Because they're super important to our community. If you are representing, you know, restaurants and bars and you want to get the word out, I think those things are really important. But an understanding of how much time, I mean, at the end of the day, we're artists.
Sure.
We're writers and we're putting a lot of time because it represents our name, you know? So yeah, that's a big
everything
deal.
that you do is a part of you.
Yeah.
And it reflects back on you no matter what.
Yep.
So like, did something happen where you got to a point where you're like, I need to start saying no?
Yeah.
Or are you just smart and you just know that?
No, I think a lot of people, a lot of the writers and photographers in our community right now are in the same place that I am, because the food community has just been blowing up in the same amount of time for all of us, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of us who are dealing with the same thing. Like now we're all of a sudden in this community that is super influenced by food, super influenced by cocktails. And how do we now say no? And how do we say like,
but say it politely,
yeah, say it politely. And we want to do it. We want to be there. We want to be a part of the community, but we also don't want to be taken advantage of. We want our time to be like represented well. And we want to write about it. Obviously, we want to take photos of it. But yeah, so for me, it's been, I think the move to cocktails has been really integral, because I'm getting to this point. This is like new news, but I'm working on like a rebranding.
Oh, nice.
Where all I'm going to be doing is cocktails. Like I'm kind of saying no to the food.
Oh, okay.
I love food. I love chefs. I love restaurants. I want to be there. And maybe that's a social media post. I want to be included in those things, but it's not going to make it to the blog if it doesn't have craft cocktails.
So just alcohol.
Yeah.
I
just
like
booze.
that.
This is kind of my jam. I'm here. I'm there.
Chrissy's ears perked up. Oh, booze.
What? Just booze?
Oh, yes.
Because
hello.
like you have to make a decision. Like, and this is what I'm going to do. And craft cocktails, like nationally, especially, I have a huge, amazing, wonderful community of craft cocktail bloggers online that are writing about cocktails all across the country. And that's what I want to tap into.
Yeah.
Like I love local, but local is really kind of like stifling me in a way, you know.
It's limiting because there's only so many places.
And I can only have so many readers who are like, this is happening in Salt Lake. And I want to keep those people, but I also want to bring in more people who are interested in craft cocktails like throughout the nation.
Yeah.
And I've been working with national brands, and that's kind of what I want to do more. So
is this going on right now, the whole rebranding thing? Or when is this?
2017. It's going to be brand new.
2017.
Heartbeat Nosh.
You heard it here first,
yeah,
right?
dude.
Whoa, big news here.
It is. And I've been thinking about it for a long time. I have really been having like therapy sessions with a lot of my other cocktail friends around the country. And for me, that's what I want to focus. I want to focus on bartenders. I want to focus on cocktails. I want to focus on home bartending and brands and spirits. And I can do a lot of that at home. And I want to be at home with my family a little bit more. So that's the move. So
I love that you really found a niche and you're just digging into it.
I'm digging in.
That's so great.
I'm not an alcoholic.
Well, you'll become more of an expert on that. I think I sometimes wonder, even with this podcast, it's like, do we spread ourselves so thin instead of, even with like the live shows and all of that? And it's like, instead of just sitting down face to face with one person, let's get to know their story. And
it's hard.
It is, because you want to do it all. You want to do it all.
I want to say yes to every email that I get. I want to be involved in everything, especially when it comes to like local, because I really believe in promoting local brands, and I love Salt Lake City, and I love doing that. So it's been really, it came down to like this big decision for me. Like, do I want to keep doing local and really just staying there? Or do I want to really try to like do something with like the expertise that I've gotten with writing about bartenders and spirits and craft cocktails, because that's way bigger than Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about just hanging your hat up completely?
Yes.
Honestly.
All the time.
All the time?
Yeah. There's so many times where I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, it's so much work, and it's so much work that people don't understand, that they don't get.
It'll take you a day to create something, and they can digest it in 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Or they're
like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, it's another cocktail Chelsea posted. It's another like cocktail club event that Chelsea's done. And like cocktail club's been really good. I love everybody in there, but I do feel like it's been so much work for me that I think has been lost on a lot of people.
What is Cocktail Club? Explain that for the listeners.
So Cocktail Club is amazing. I love it. It's been this really great personal thing for me, and I think for everybody that's been involved. But after I had my baby, I was just like, I need a way to like get in touch with my friends, my girlfriends, and cocktails were just like on the up and up. I needed content for my blog. So it's just kind of like, okay, I'm going to start. It was actually funny because I saw this it was like Good Morning America or something terrible while I was on maternity leave. And they had this person on there who's like, I have this cocktail club with my girlfriends and we do a cocktail every month. And I'm like, I'm doing it. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it. So I got like 12 of my really good girlfriends together and I'm like, okay, here's what's happening. I want to do a cocktail club. I want it to be really about learning a new cocktail recipe every month. It's going to be mainly for content for my blog, but also another reason for us to like hang out. And I'll take photos. It'll be a recipe. So cool. And
you kept yourself sane because having a baby it
got me out of my house.
Yeah. You just never see people.
Totally. Like I need a thing. I need a thing to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't, sometimes doing like restaurant reviews or like committing to something like that is many hours. You're like, I'm going to go to this thing and it's going to be like 3 or 4 hours. Whereas like cocktails are easy, simple. We're going to do it. So we started that and it was amazing. And my friend Sheena, who did the first cocktail club, she like blew it out of the water with like this amazing cocktail with like edible flowers. And it was just, it was like this beautiful presentation. And that kind of set the stage for like every
The bar
hostess.
Was set pretty high.
Yeah. So we planned it out for a year. So I had 12 girlfriends. We had 12 months. Each person was hosting every month. And their sort of initiative was to find a craft cocktail and teach it to us, and then we'll drink it and we'll hang out.
Simple enough.
Yeah.
I love that.
And they just like, they embraced it and they took it on and they really supported me as it being a thing for my blog. And then what kind of happened was it turned into this big thing where it wasn't just about like a girls' night. It was like brands contacting me and showcase our, which was exciting for me. Like it was super great. So it turned into a lot of work for me every month where I was working with a brand or a distillery or
and you had to be like, can you incorporate your cocktail with this?
Yes. So like, okay, let's do Vita Tequila. Let's do Distillery 36. Let's showcase this brand every month. And they would be really on board and they would donate swag or whatever. But then I felt very responsible for whatever came out of that event. So because I was not only representing my brand, I was representing their brand. And I think a lot of what happened was that a lot of these people, and then Cocktail Club started growing. So we're like over 30 people now from 12.
Wow. So after 12, after a year, you let people join?
Yeah, like we just kind of started like including people
like
and like people were interested in. Yeah. And then like I started making, really great friends in the cocktail community. So we'd bring them on and it started turning into this a lot of work for me every month where a lot of people could come when they wanted. I'm going to go this month. I'm not going to go that month. But like it turned into a thing for me where like I had to be there every month. I had to photograph it every month. I had to write about it every month. I had to like work with a brand every month.
Oh, wow.
So it was a lot.
It was another part-time job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I loved it. It was so much work. And then I would get there and we would have this great cocktail and like so much networking happened between women. A lot of great educated networked wonderful women. Sure. So that was awesome.
And where were you getting together? At people's houses?
People's houses.
Okay.
So then, like, it got so big that I was like, I can't ask someone to have more than 30 people in their home. That's a lot to ask. So I started putting parameters around it, and like, you have to RSVP at certain times. And that started, I think, getting weird for people. So it was really hard for me because I didn't want to make it weird for people, but I wanted to protect.
Because they wanted it to be easy. They wanted to just show up if they could show up.
And I get that. Like, I totally understand that, but I also wanted to protect the hostess for how many people she was trying to account for, and the brand, who was like showing up with like swag and things to give away. It's still a really hard place to be in. So yeah, but it's been.
Are you
so
still
fun.
doing this?
So we're still doing it. We have,
but it's women only.
Well, it didn't. I mean, yeah, but that wasn't a thing. Like,
it just happened.
It just happened that way. Yes, Chrissy, you're invited forever.
I'm so in. I'll host to the next one.
Yeah, no, this would be
going to be in the parking lot because that's the only place there's enough room.
It's super fun because it kind of like it brings together these like, professional women who have kids, like, who are also really interested in our community and cocktails and networking,
which I love because. And it's happening more and more. And poor Chris hears me talk about women in Utah all the time.
No, I'm here.
It's a thing.
It is.
We need each other.
When you can
is it
find
a thing? Women in Utah.
We need each other so bad.
We're not just in the house, guys.
Especially like liberal.
I know
women.
The ones who like have hobbies and stuff.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Any place you can go where you can really just meet other women like that, and you can grow and you can network. There's only a few places you can do that, and it's like so great that you started one.
Well, so I think what's happened is that there have been other things outside of my focus of Cocktail Club that have been happening at Cocktail Club. So a lot of people have been networking and meeting people and using other influences for like their own brand or their own business outside of what I've been doing, which has been so great. So I was going to stop it, because I'm just like, I can't do it anymore. Like, I don't have the bandwidth, and I just like, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted from trying to curate an event for people every month where you're going to have a good time. And if you don't have a good time, I take it personally. Mm-hmm.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, it's so personal because I'm so invested in these women. I love them so much, and I want them to have fun, and I want them to learn something.
Yeah,
so
but
if
then
that
it's
doesn't
all
happen,
stress for you.
Yeah, like I'm just like beside myself. So I was going to end it. Done. I was going to turn it.
How long ago was this that you were thinking?
This was... I mean, I think like last summer, I'm just like, this is too much for me. I'm going to turn it. What I wanted to do was turn it into a community event, where it was a community cocktail event that was like sponsored by Heartbeat Nosh and other restaurants and bartenders in the community, where anybody could buy a ticket and come. And I still want to do that. But Cocktail Club ladies were like, this isn't ending. We love it. Sorry.
Sorry.
There's something about it being so personal that if you actually turned it into more of a sponsored event where people could buy a ticket,
they miss
it just wouldn't be the same thing.
And everyone's has become, it's really been fun because I've brought in a lot of different women from different parts of the community, and they've really connected, and I feel like some really great friendships have been forged, and they don't want to give that up. I don't want to give that up. So what I have done has been like, we're distributing power.
Yeah.
You guys are taking on roles.
Good call.
And that's going to be awesome. And then I can relax a little bit. It can still happen. And then if I want to turn it into a community event, I have the space and bandwidth to do that too. So it's really hard. It's really hard to like know what's the right thing and to make people happy. And I'm one of those people that I take things really personally, and the work that I put in, I take very personally. So I want people to like be happy.
Yeah, you want everyone to love it all the time.
I want them to love it all the time. I want them to want to promote my brand and who I am, but they're my friends, and I want them to like want to help me at the same, like on a personal level. And so when it started feeling less personal, I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I think we've resolved it.
How is the balance of responsibility? Like, have other women stepped up to the plate and like, really been supportive and helpful?
Yeah, they've been great. Like I have had like at least half of the members be like, I will write blog posts, I will take photos, I will, make sure every month has a hostess. And the thing that was really important for me was like, who's going to work with brands and try to get people on board to like work with us. And my friend Gail, who works for KUR, she's like, I'll do it. I will. I'd love to ask people for things.
That's so cool.
So I feel like for a long time, a lot of it was my own fault for not asking, for not.
I know what you mean. Sometimes when you're running something, you're like, but I know how to do it.
But is it difficult for you? Because I know how it is for me, where it's like you're afraid that if you have somebody else do it, they'll screw it up, they'll do it wrong.
I wasn't afraid of that because I have very capable, wonderful friends. But I just felt like I wanted to provide it for them.
Sure.
Like I wanted to be like,
you're
a
nurturer, huh?
Kind of.
Yeah.
And not saying that in a way that I'm like, oh, I'm a nurturer, but like I just wanted them to show up and have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like
I wanted them to learn something about craft cocktails, and at the same time, I wanted to take away like my own selfish things where I could have a blog post where I could work with brands. Cocktail Club has given me so many relationships that I just really appreciate, and that is due in part to like every woman that's a part of it. So. Sure. It's a big deal. I'm glad it's not going away. I'm glad that I don't have to be responsible for it.
So how can people? Is it on your website?
So it's been pretty exclusive. We had like because it's held in people's homes, and I didn't want it to be like crazy. But I think in 2017 we're going to open up to community, and that will be community events in public places, and those will be ticket driven, and that will show up on the new website in 2017.
I'm so excited to see your new brand. I love your brand now.
Thank you.
Your logos, I was just oogling over. I told Chris, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love her logo. And then
you've
the Cocktail
done
Club
other
logo.
events though. Didn't you do like something with the opera or something?
Yeah,
like
so
that? Like a drinking event of some sort?
If there's a drinking event,
I have those all the time. What are you guys talking about?
You've done other events in Cocktail Club.
Yeah, so the Utah Opera does libretti and libations for every opera, and I do, along with Andrea from Bitters Lab, we do like a cocktail crawl. And that's where a lot of restaurants and bars in the city, they actually create a cocktail that is inspired by the opera that's happening. And so it's just like a promotion kind of cool thing that we do.
I've always wanted to organize a bar crawl.
It's fun.
For I Am Salt
I love
Lake
how classy
listeners.
a cocktail crawl sounds, though.
Just
fun.
like
Just do a cocktail
dive
crawl.
bar crawl.
I know. I wanted you guys to come last
We
week.
have a different crowd.
Like, this is not the opera.
If you do
Cocktail
another
crawl,
one,
that's different.
I'm so there.
So
that
we are.
sounds like magic.
You're an opera person.
I
aren't
love
you?
the opera.
Yeah.
So today, actually, we had Andrea from Bitters Lab and I had lunch with the opera friends. And so we're going to do a Facebook Live where I come up with a cocktail for every opera, and then we'll do a cocktail crawl for every opera. So January
I'm
is
so
the
there.
next one. Please come. And
I'll go because Chrissy wants to go. No.
and because you want to drink delicious craft cocktails from our purveyors in the city.
I'm not an opera guy, though.
Well, you don't have to be an opera person.
Okay.
You don't have to
We
be a
don't go to the
cocktail
opera.
person.
We're just
If
gonna.
you want to go, I'll go for you.
I don't think you guys go to the opera though. You just go have the
I think-
cocktails
yes.
based on the opera.
Okay.
So
tell
it's
you what.
really cool because
All
we
right,
go
sold,
to each
sold.
place and the bartender talks about the inspiration for the cocktail that they have created that is inspired by the opera. So you get this really cool sort of educational component about like what's in the cocktail, and then you drink the cocktail and you move on to the next one.
There you
I just
go.
think that's so cool.
Yes, go to the opera because it makes this really cool connection of art and food and cocktails and all the art that's
And
happening in our
education.
city and education.
great.
I'm super stoked that the Utah Opera is doing that. It's a really great way to bring people into who have never been to the opera to maybe be like, opera's doing cocktails. I'm into it.
What is your go-to cocktail when you go to a bar?
Negroni. Negroni is
I'm not
my-
familiar with that.
What's in that?
So a Negroni, let me tell you, is my favorite cocktail. And it's super easy. It's also super easy if you're a home bartender because it's equal parts 3 spirits. So it's gin, sweet vermouth, and Campari, or whatever Italian bitters you want to substitute. It's really creative from Campari. So Campari is like a really delicious Italian bitters. But it's a bitter drink. It's a boozy drink over ice with a little orange twist. Super simple.
Give that a whirl.
I should.
It's good.
I like the sound of that.
And I like to order it. It's like kind of one of those things you can order at any bar. I was just in San Francisco and I ordered a Negroni and he was like, do you want it shaken or stirred? And I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, no, that's not the right thing to say. It turned out okay. But, it's a classic cocktail. If you like bitter, boozy drinks, which are my thing.
That's your jam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll have to have one in honor of you.
Thank you.
Every night.
Come over. I'll make you one.
It's a deal.
Yeah.
What, we were talking previously about, you wanting to hang the hat up and you get frustrated. When you don't feel creative, when you don't feel like writing, when you don't feel like doing, where do you find motivation?
The community of amazing people here in Salt Lake. I think that happens a lot. Like, I'll be honest. I think, you work so hard and you put your stuff out there, or you put up a post on Facebook or Instagram and maybe you don't get the response you want. And you're like, I worked really hard.
Only 3 likes.
Like I took 20 photos to get that one photo and I'm not getting a response. And that's really hard. Like, you take it personally. You take it, it's kind of like sad.
It's like disheartening.
It's disheartening.
You're like, why am I even doing it?
You're like, why am I doing it? Like, why am I putting all of this time and effort into something that you don't feel like you're getting something back? And for me, what sort of kept me going is being able to it's the walking into the bar and having that relationship with a bartender I really like, and honestly, it's like nerding out. I love nerding out about it, because at the end of the day, that content, like cocktails, understanding spirits and what goes into a cocktail and different bitters and different things, like, what are you doing that you're really excited about this week? And having a bartender be like, you need to taste this. Let me share this with you. It's this really cool relationship that I get to have with people that I love. And I'm not a bartender, and I feel very grateful that the bartending world in Salt Lake has kind of accepted me and yes, Chelsea, we'll tell you all of our secrets. Because I don't feel really like I deserve them, because I'm not a bartender. I don't know what they go through every day, but I totally nerdy and I just want to talk about cocktails all the time.
And I mean, it has to be so amazing for them to know that you're going to come in, and when they see you, they're like, oh my gosh, I can talk to her about this.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. That's their life. That's what they nerd out about.
And then I think too, when they see themselves and what they're doing in Salt Lake Magazine or my blog, or I think it's that validation too, that goes both ways, where it's like, no, what I'm doing really matters to people. Like this cocktail that I created that in my head at night that maybe doesn't matter, I don't think matters to people. Oh, it turned up on the Salt Lake Magazine blog.
Yeah.
Maybe that's cool. Maybe people are into it. So I try to do that for them. I try to give back.
Do you have a favorite bar, or is that kind of putting you on the spot?
It's really funny because when I had Scott Gardner, Amy Eldridge, and Jessica Sandberg on the Utah Foodie, and I was like, who do you guys really love in the bartending scene? And they're like, you can't ask us that. What are you trying to do to us?
Yeah,
we can't call out our friends, but for me, it's a little different because I'm definitely separate from that community, but I can tell you who some of my favorites are.
Let's hear a few of your favorites.
So tonight I was at Finca. Natalie Hamilton is making some amazing cocktails. She had me over to commiserate the election. Can I say that? The election. We had to cry over a cocktail.
Yeah. Well, the election happened afterward for people listening.
Yes, it's right now. It's happening right now.
So the aftermath is happening.
We're
right now.
in the middle of it. So
no spoilers, though. Maybe they don't know who won.
We're not going to tell you, but it's not good, friends. It's bad. It's real bad.
Just think of the worst case scenario.
Yeah. So I think a good example of saying community and how much it means to me is that all of us were kind of feeling the same things, and Natalie reached out to a few of my other cocktail friends and was like, okay, so this sucks, and I've created this gloomsday cocktail. Come to Finca, I'm going to make it for you because we need to commiserate.
Just tonight?
So that was yesterday. So tonight, so cool. Andrea and I from Bitters Lab were like, yes, we're coming over. Please make us that cocktail because we need to we need to connect. We need to talk. We need to have community. And I'm sorry, but that's what craft cocktails and bartenders do for each other. they provide me this community. They provide each other a community to do stuff like that.
And, you know, with their craft cocktails and the spaces that they build them in, build, make, whatever. Mix,
build or make
build.
works. Yeah.
They're providing that for everyone else too.
Yeah.
For strangers who are coming in and just need to connect with each other. I mean, you do it over a cocktail.
You do. And it's important. I mean, it's not important for everybody, but for people in my world and my community, it is important. It's important to be able to have those conversations. A drink helps those conversations. So that was really nice. So we went tonight to do that. You know, Scott Gardner and Amy Eldridge are two of my, I mean, they're brilliant. They're making crazy science cocktails that blow my mind. So Undercurrent, Scott, and, you know, his new Water Witch that's going to be opening soon.
I'm not familiar with that one.
So Scott and Sean Neves and Matt Full are partners, and they're opening a new bar and distillery.
Just what we need, another bar.
I know. I mean, but it's gonna. They're what I love about it, and you know, you'll hear Scott talk about this. Is like it's this. They want to build community. They want people to come in and feel comfortable. It's not about this like pretentious craft cocktail thing. It's like, come in, we'll make you whatever you want. Come in, hang out, let's talk.
I love that.
That's happening soon.
Any idea where that's going to be? Or
So that's in the ninth
ninth
yeah, west-ish area.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to ask Scott more about it.
We'll look it up when it hits
I need to
Google.
bring him on this podcast.
Please do.
There's so many people in Salt Lake.
I have
we need
always
to
had
talk.
like the utmost respect for him, and he's always been a little intimidating to me
Sure.
because like his knowledge of cocktails has been like so vast that I'm like, I can't talk to you because I'm just gonna show how little I know. But then you know that we've bridged some gaps. I've hung out with him a little bit, and then like after having him, he's hysterical. And like I was cry laughing. He's so funny. So he'd be great to have on your podcast. And then Amy has this extensive knowledge of craft cocktails and the history of cocktails and prohibition and all things. I mean, she studied under Sasha Petresky in New York, who opened Milk and Honey, who really brought back the craft cocktail after like prohibition, when like in the 80s and 90s it was all about like, here's a really shitty mixer and a really shitty like spirit, enjoy, get drunk. It wasn't about
vodka
taste.
and orange juice.
Yeah, dude, the worst margarita mixers. So she learned techniques that she's brought back to Salt Lake that you can see at Bar X, that you can see at Undercurrent. I mean, in a lot of the Stanza, a lot of the craft cocktail menus around right now. So and Bijan at Palette is one of my favorites because he'll always nerd out with me, and he's super passionate, and he can take like 10 ingredients and make them very balanced in a cocktail, which I think is
A skill.
hard to do.
Yeah.
It's really easy to do a balanced cocktail with 3 ingredients, but when you take like 9 ingredients and you're like, it's balanced, you're like, what happened? So he's amazing there. But
What about and a few of these places, eating spots? You know, I asked this on the podcast. Favorite local eating spots? I mean, Palettes, places like that, or any other names that come to mind?
I mean,
Where last few meals?
so I had lunch at Stanza today, actually.
Okay.
That was it was amazing. It was really great. I think Stanza and their craft cocktail menu is really interesting and different because they're focused on Italian bitters and Negronis. Negroni, my favorite cocktail. So they have a wide variation of Negronis. That's really cool. Current Fish and Oyster, of course, is one of my favorites.
She wants to go there
Every
real bad.
time we drive past it, I'm like, I want to go there.
Yeah.
Take me there. I'll take myself there.
Yeah,
I'll take you
yourself
there. I'll take
It's
Chris there.
delicious. My favorite hands down food in the city right now is HSL, for sure.
HSL.
HSL.
I'm not familiar.
HSL.
I am not either.
So
Where
it's
is that?
Handle that was in Park City. They now have
Oh,
HSL.
I've heard of Handle.
Yeah, and so Scott Gardner was bartending for them for a long time as well. Scott Matt Full, but their foods.
Where are they at? Where?
So they're right on. They're where Vinto used to be on 2nd South.
Oh,
and
right
above-
by the 7-Eleven over there.
Yeah,
kinda?
so City Home Collective
Yeah.
was really integral to their redesigning of the space.
Okay, I heard about this
Their
place.
food is crazy good. You guys need to go right now.
Okay.
What is happening? Leave
Are
right
they
now
still
and go.
open?
Oh no, no, shut down. Well, we're about done here.
Get the recording.
Yeah. So they're probably doing some of my favorite food in the city right now, but it's hard to keep up. Like there's so
Sure.
There's so many
So
good places.
much.
It's like ridiculous. We
opening
can never,
and Table X
we're going to go try Table Licks out.
Outstanding.
Definitely.
Outstanding.
Definitely. Well, I asked that. I have to ask that.
Of course.
And I actually hear from listeners that make lists.
Oh, yeah.
They make it. They're like, I'm adding that restaurant to the list.
Oh, good.
And go check it. I mean, they do anyway. I'm sure we could talk to you for hours and hours.
Oh yeah, I could do this all day.
Thanks, guys.
Anything you want to mention while we kind of wrap this up here? Anything that maybe we didn't talk about that you want to talk about or promote? I mean, obviously, I want to get your websites and social media and all that.
So Heartbeat Nosh has been around for quite a while, mostly focused on food, craft cocktails in the past couple of years. And I think for like the future, what you're going to hear from Chelsea Nelson in the Salt Lake City world is going to be mostly focused on spirits and cocktails. And I think the thing that's really exciting, not only with food, which is blowing up. I mean, we have amazing things happening in food, but like the distilleries that are opening, I can't even keep up with distilleries. Like it's when you think like I'm going to focus just on spirits and cocktails, like even the distilleries that are opening, which is really amazing, thinking of all of the challenges that distilleries have to face just to even open their doors in Utah.
Yeah.
So I think that's really exciting. And I'm really hoping to sort of like make those things accessible to people, to be able to talk about what distillery, just buy local.
Yeah.
Like I want to focus on craft cocktails and the importance of that in the world.
And you must be such a great resource for people visiting Salt Lake.
I think so.
Also.
I've worked with some like, there's a lot of times where like big companies, like I just did a thing with Pepsi Cola where they had people coming to different sectors and communities throughout the nation trying to understand buying, what people are buying and interested in. And it was funny because they were really interested in our like dirty soda phenomenon.
Oh yeah. Is that just a Utah thing?
People stop at the dirty soda.
Isn't it just like mixing sodas up?
It's so gross.
When I was a kid, we just called that like a suicide drink.
It's just bad. Yeah.
Well, it's like so much sugar. It's like the grossest thing.
It's the grossest.
It's so gross.
And it's always been perplexing to me because I'm like, do you know you can just go buy Pepsi and go buy like coconut syrup at you can do that at home. But to me, it just speaks to what people really want craft stuff. Like it doesn't matter if you're a drinker or a non-drinker. Like
which most people here are not drinkers.
They want to be able to like
be part of it.
Yeah, they want to go to a place and get like a soda with something special in it.
They want a creation made for them.
They want a creation.
Yeah.
So I worked with Pepsi when they came here to talk about sort of those trends and what I thought about them. And that was really interesting. So there are a lot of people coming to Salt Lake to understand what we're doing and why people are interested in the things they're interested in, why things are catching hold. They were like, even Pepsi was like, we don't understand dirty soda. Explain it. And so
people of Utah, that should tell you something.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, maybe that was confidential. I don't know. But I think it speaks to people wanting to create things for themselves, have a craft experience, no matter what they're eating or drinking. I think that's important to people.
Sure.
They want to have a say in what they're consuming. Even if it's 5,000 calories of sugar, they want to say that. They want to order it. So
they want to drink pure syrup and pretend it's a nice thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
People are coming here. They're coming here to understand what we're doing because what we're doing is important for consumers.
What are those people in Utah doing?
What are people in Utah? What's happening in Utah?
Leave it to
How
us.
are you making craft cocktails with like no alcohol? Explain it.
How can people find you? What's your website, social media?
So it's heartbeatnosh.com. And same with like Instagram, Heartbeat Nosh, Twitter, Heartbeat Nosh. My Facebook's a little different because when I first started doing food writing, I was Nosh Maven. And some people still refer to me as Nosh Maven, which is funny to me.
And what is that from? Nosh?
That was from like 2010, 9, 10, when I just was doing food. So my Facebook is Facebook/Nosh Maven. When you get there, it will say Heartbeat Nosh.
Okay.
But that's a thing. And then in 2017, that will be rebranded to a whole new
secret.
Well,
this will be up before that. So
yeah. So
know.
just
everybody
be excited.
keep your eyes open.
Be excited.
Go
and
sign
please,
up. I know you have an email list there. People can go sign up for that and
just stay with me. That's what I ask. If you're with me now, stick with me through the transition, hang out with the cocktails and the new brand.
I have a feeling it's going to be pretty awesome.
I hope so. I want people to stick around because I really appreciate the community I've built and the people who are reading my shit. I appreciate it.
I love it.
You make good shit.
Thank you.
So,
Hey, and guess what? It recorded this whole conversation.
I can't believe it.
Can you believe that? No, I've had a heck of a time chatting with you, Chelsea. Anything you want to add, either one of you, Chrissy, Chelsea?
you've gained a follower.
Thank you.
There's
You guys are awesome.
One whole
So fun
extra
to talk to.
follower.
Thank you
I
so
know
much.
you were a blast to talk to.
You
Thumbs up.
have a good night.
Thanks.
All right. Many thanks to Chelsea for coming on this episode. Links can be found at iamsaltlake.com/252. That's for episode 252. You can go connect with her, check her blog out, connect on Facebook, see what she's up to. I know we talked a lot about it. We talked about her rebranding that she's got coming out over for 2017. We talked about her different events that she does. So you're going to want to really keep an eye on what she's doing here in Salt Lake City, and check out some of the drinks that she's recommending, because I like to drink, but I'm not an expert in the cocktail department. So it's really nice to kind of bring people on the show and kind of hear a different side of that.
Yeah, and it's nice to get kind of like feedback on which cocktails to try, because it's not like we all have the money to go out and try all of these cocktails all the time.
Exactly. I know I don't, but
Yeah.
and I wasn't kidding around. I'd love to bring her back on the podcast if we ever get like some bartenders.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Have her co-host, have the four of us chat it up.
That'd be
I had a really,
great.
really, really good time with her. So actually yesterday, not only did we move today, but yesterday we went up to Weber State and we did a radio show called, it's the What's Good radio show. Mm-hmm. I had a great time doing it.
Oh, I had such a great time. You got a little lost because we talked about musicals for a while.
Yeah, you were talking about Hamilton, and then you bonded with one of the girl. I forgot her name that
Starts with a
co-hosted
T.
it.
Tanner?
Yeah, I don't know, because she was from Wisconsin.
She was from Wisconsin. I had no idea. It just popped up while we were talking.
And I was hoping there would be a link that we could share with people. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's not out yet. I'm not sure. Because I like to share. If we're on a podcast, I want to share it with the listeners.
It's fun. It's fun to like get to see the goofy side of us a little bit,
Always when the microphones are kind of turned around and we just can like let loose and we can say, hey, you know what? We didn't have to plan anything this time around.
Yeah.
You ask us the questions.
And then we're the ones that leave away going, should I have said that?
So, hey, with that being said, I mean, Chrissy and myself, we'd love to. I mean, if anybody does any local podcasts here in Salt Lake City or anywhere in the area, Provo, Ogden, wherever, Park City, we'd love to come on your
travel.
show. Yeah, we travel. We make excellent guests, and we talk about anything. We don't even have to talk about Salt Lake City.
True.
Speaking of traveling, though, perfect segue. Nikki from New Zealand's in town.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if she's actually in Salt Lake City right now.
Quite yet, but she will be
I know
soon.
she's traveling. She's been in like San Francisco and Alaska and stuff. She's a big listener of the podcast. Mm-hmm. I'm honored that somebody in New Zealand listens to I Am Salt Lake.
It is really cool.
And so I think it was last year. Was it last year? Maybe 2 years ago she was here, and I met her for the first time, her and her husband, and got to give him a tour of Salt Lake, and I'm hoping to kind of chat. I would actually love to bring him on a podcast. I'd love to do an episode with them.
I think that would be such a blast.
Kind of talk about New Zealand.
And we could even ask them, or we could talk about New Zealand, but see what they've learned about.
Yeah, see what's different about Salt Lake to New Zealand, or what do you love about it? I mean, because she studies Salt Lake. She's such a big fan of, there's so many podcasts here, and she's got so many friends here, and the food scene, and all of that.
And I'd love to get her take on what she was looking forward to and how she's enjoying it,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be...
I think that's about it. We're both exhausted. Thanksgiving's this week, so hopefully
So now we have to go cook.
Now we got to go cook some turkey or tofurkey or whatever you guys eat. Hopefully you're all able to spend it with people you love.
Yeah.
Family, friends. We love each and every one of you, though. I was going to mention this in the beginning, but I know a lot of podcasts, they take holiday weeks off.
Yeah.
We're doing this because we love you guys.
Exactly.
We're putting these out because we love you. We just moved. It's Thanksgiving. We could have easily taken a week off, but we have so many great conversations with people in Salt Lake. We got to get it out there. Do you want to run down the contact information, Chrissy?
I do. You guys can find us at iamsaltlake.com, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat.
All at I Am Salt Lake.
I Am Salt Lake. And we actually have a mailing address. It's 2225 South, 500 East, Suite 16 in Salt Lake City, Utah, 84106.
So send on over your Christmas cards, your letters, if anything. I mean, say you're
Your
traveling.
glitter bombs.
Yeah, say you're traveling, though. I'd love to get some postcards.
Oh, yeah.
From people traveling.
Oh, yeah.
But if you don't want to mail anything, we do have a voicemail and text line. It's 385-202-5926. You can send a quick text message, or you can call it. Nobody will ever answer. We'd love to hear from the listeners of the podcast. So with that being said, let's go home, get some rest, Chrissy. We got a big week ahead. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed this episode. We had a great time sitting down with Chelsea, and we'll talk to you again next week. Bye now.
Good night, Grammy.